This is a bit of a weird premise for a video, and to be honest, I don't know why you clicked on something with such a dodgy title, but thank you for doing so. If you've ever read Don Quixote, you'll probably see the connection I'm trying to make, but if you haven't, let me quickly get you up to speed. Basically, there's this bloke called Alonso who reads so many romanticised books about knights and damsels and such that he basically goes insane and starts to think he is one. He changes his name to Don and goes off to serve his country, obviously making loads of mistakes. Don Quixote means someone who is trying to change something but is too naive or stupid to get it done. There's a story in the book where he starts fighting windmills thinking they're giants, which is where the phrase tilting of windmills comes from. It basically means fighting imaginary enemies and symbolises focusing on solving irrelevant problems and masking it with the facade of honour and doing what is right. One of the main themes of the book is that Don Quixote is a relic living in the past, desperately trying to cling on to something that no longer exists. Is this starting to make sense yet? Can you see the link I'm trying to make? Which characters are pretty similar to this bloke who got swantoned by a windmill? No? Okay, fair enough, it's a pretty stretched euphemism to be fair. Basically, if you really think about it, the Assassins have been trying to get world peace for the last 2,500 years, and they arguably aren't any closer than when they started. Why is that? In this video, I want to look at the ways the Assassins are going about acquiring world peace, and if they're actually as useless as history seems to make them out to be. If you go on to enjoy this video, like and subscribe. We're nearly at 100 subs, so if you could help the cause, it would be much appreciated. It makes sense if we start at the beginning, so Odyssey. I mean, if you look really deep into the lore, the Assassins can be traced back to Adam and Eve, but no. The Assassin's Order wasn't officially formed until 1191, but had influence and were kind of there all throughout ancient history as well. In the Odyssey DLC, Legacy of the Hidden Blade, we meet Darius, the first wielder of the Hidden Blade, who used it to assassinate Xerxes, who many saw as a tyrant who repressed free will, going against the main goal of the Assassin's Order. Despite this being the very origin of the Assassins, and despite everything seeming to be going according to plan, it was basically all downhill from there. I mean, they killed Xerxes, who was oppressing Greece and the surrounding nations, and yet they didn't even come close to their ultimate goal, nor have they since. The theme of Don Quixote depicting him as a relic of the past is very similar to what the Assassins are in a modern setting. They still have the same ideals as their historic predecessors, and whilst the world, and not to mention their sworn enemies the Templars, have moved on, they remain fixed on the romanticised notion of free will, and as Layla says, she is fighting for chaos.
I used to assist order. Now I fight for choice, freedom, chaos.
That is what the Order basically boils down to, advocates of chaos. They seek Isu artifacts in order to gain the knowledge to overcome the Templars, or Abstergo as they now go by, but lack the resolve or what they would do in the unlikely event of this happening ever came to fruition. I can guarantee none of them have any idea what they would do if they beat the Templars, and my money is on that they would just repress humanity just as the Templars do. If you think about it, both factions want the same thing, it's just that the Templars are one step ahead. It's like in Fable 3 when you overthrow your brother, an evil tyrant, and then are basically forced to become one, making you step back and be like, damn, maybe state socialism wasn't such a great idea after all. The Templars are seeking world peace by eradicating evil, and the Assassins seek it by giving the people uncensored free will. It's a catch-22. If the Assassins destroy the Templars, they will be the only evil superpower lording over humanity, and if the Templars win by destroying evil, what does that say about their own morality? You know that scene in Death Note where Ryuk tells Light that if he rids the world of evil, he will be the only one left deserving punishment? It's very similar to that. Don Quixote sees himself as a champion of the people, literally a knight, but is so deluded in his self-image that he can't see what's right in front of him. Alright, hopefully that's warmed you up. Let's get into the main bit of the video. Quixotism is impracticality in pursuit of ideals, and unsurprisingly is named after the book. If you haven't read it but are into reading, do yourself a favour, because there are so many Don Quixote references in literally everything from Shakespeare to Picasso to Salvador Dali. Anyway, Quixotism. Let's have a look at a few individual assassins and see how they compare. Ezio is probably the most famous of all the assassins. He's basically the poster boy for every AC product ever made. He is certainly a man of action, and many of his actions resemble act now, think later. He joins the assassins reluctantly in an attempt to avenge his family, with the romanticised notion of doing the right thing leading him. He eventually becomes Master Assassin and fully embraces the ethics of his cult. Is it fair to call them a cult? What is the definition of a cult? You could say they are transfixed on obtaining knowledge to the point of disregard for the people they're claiming to protect, so yeah, they kind of are. Anyway, next character. Desmond... Oh wait, never mind, skip Desmond. He doesn't have the brain capacity to really have an ethical or philosophical standpoint on anything, so I'll just quickly catch you up. He's a bartender, gets kidnapped, thrown in an animus, kills a 24-year-old, falls into a coma and dies. That's it. I know she technically isn't an assassin, but I've been playing so much Odyssey recently that I can't not include her. She lived the longest out of any person affiliated with the Assassins, dying at 2,471 in 2018. Her moralistic standpoint also revolves mostly around vengeance and her own god complex, where she believes she's a godlike figure who is solely responsible for striking down the cult of Cosmos, who represent the Templars of ancient Greece. If you're interested in the comparison between the ethics of the Assassins and Templars, I made a video dedicated to that, so check it out. From what I remember, most of the main assassins in the game are led by their own greed and selfish ambition, at least at first, which is quite ironic when they're the ones preaching free will and abolishing all oppression, no matter how necessary it is. I mean, what do you think would happen if the world had no order? It wouldn't work because of people like Edward Kenway, who hypocrisized the entire meaning of the organisation, whose goals would never be complete with people like him leading them. Okay, I kind of forgot I was meant to be comparing them to Don, so I'll just quickly summarise because I don't want this video to be too long, because my PC might actually blow up. Don Quixote is led by a false belief in right and wrong and believes himself as a champion of the people. The Assassins are an organisation who seek world peace through thousands of years worth of pointless war and yet still see themselves as champions of the people. Don Quixote is a metaphor for holding on to the past, whilst the Assassin's Order are following step for step in the actions of people who lived thousands of years before them, as if the situation hadn't changed at all. That was basically all I wanted to say. Don't know why it took me so long to just say it. Anyway, leave your opinion below if you have a good take on it, and I'll pin the comment. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.